Tiffany. It's Tuesday morning. I'm just on my way to work, and I'm gonna take a leap of faith. And I wanted to record something for you for a couple of reasons, really. I mean, first of all, I've obviously heard your voice. I guess I figured it was probably time that I kind of gave you a glimpse of mine, just to prove that, I'm a real kind of flesh and blood human being. I'm not an evil, demonic bunny rabbit. That's just a mask. And yeah, I guess it was just kind of time to drive off this cliff, metaphorically speaking. I do request that you keep it private between us. I obviously can kind of stop you from sharing it if you choose, but really it's just for you. And it's because the conversations that we've had, or the communications, or whatever you want to call them, have just been some of the most stimulating and entertaining and interesting kind of discourse that I've had, either online or offline, for a while. And whatever you kind of think my motivations are for being out here and for speaking to you, really, I kind of never intended to kind of get into it as much as we did. And like any kind of red-blooded male, I've found myself just, really interested in what it is that you've got going on. It's not an infatuation, I'm not kind of obsessed. I just enjoy interesting people, colorful people, people that inspire me and make me want to reflect upon myself and what I do and what I write. And it's always more difficult when you have to kind of face up to somebody in a more real way. I can write whatever I want on paper or on a computer screen. I have time to kind of plan out what it is that I'm going to say, and I can express myself with the same kind of eloquence and fluency with the spoken word that I can when I'm writing something. So I guess for me, this is just a kind of way to show you that, I'm a real person, to try and kind of maybe give you a glimpse into my soul, so that you have something to kind of hold on to when you're suspicious about what's going on, or you're not sure why I'm speaking to you, or you're not kind of sure what my real kind of motivations are. And I know I've said this before, but I don't think of myself as being somebody who's, a bad person. I do try and kind of do good in the course of my normal life. I suppose what this represents to me, this kind of weird corner of the internet, is just an opportunity to kind of explore different elements of my psyche, and kind of, I suppose, if I'm being really honest, just entertain myself with something different. You've got a whole set of characters and a whole set of narratives and things that can be kind of twisted and manipulated in a way that I find just an interesting kind of psychological reflection. There are definitely kind of ethical questions to be asked about that, and things that I've asked myself many times. I try and be as reflective as kind of possible on what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. But I suppose that probably better than anybody I've spoken to, really, that there is something quite addictive about it. You belong to a number of different communities, I guess, and somehow you've kind of wound up in this, slightly more surreal kind of part of the internet. And it's because I guess there's just so many people out here that, have different motivations and different belief systems and different ways of expressing themselves. And whether it's kind of good or bad, or right or wrong, it is eminently more entertaining than a lot of kind of other stuff that I've kind of spent time on in the past. And the way that I kind of choose to express myself, I think, is generally pretty contrary to the person that I try and be offline. And there's no clear way for me to demonstrate that without kind of giving a little bit too much away. Just as there's no way that I can ever kind of prove to you that I am not responsible for some of the things that you may believe that I'm responsible for. And seeing what's been kind of happening the last couple of days, or certainly kind of last night, and some of the stuff that was done to you, yeah, I had just a really kind of strong urge to just get on mic and kind of give you something that may or may not. I hope it does. I really do. I hope it kind of demonstrates to you not only that I'm kind of committed to, exploring this kind of relationship that we have further, but that I just don't operate in a way that intentionally would kind of ever seek to harm anybody or their kids, especially. I do. I'm being honest when I say that I have a family of my own, that there is a line in the sand that I'll kind of draw when I think about kind of what it is that I'm doing, and how I'm doing it, and I can never kind of validate that with 100% confidence, but I guess ultimately it's kind of your decision to make, really, whether kind of based on the sound of my voice, and the things that I'm saying, and the way that we've kind of expressed ourselves to each other, and the parts of each other that we've decided to share, whether you believe that I'm that kind of person. And maybe you do, and maybe that's a natural kind of byproduct of some of the things that I have done, and I have to kind of swallow that. I can't get onto any kind of moral high ground, and look down and pretend that I'm not culpable for some of the things that are going on, and some of the things that have happened, because that's the butterfly effect. I did this, and that leads to this, and I can take responsibility for the things that I had a hand in, and I guess I have to take some secondary responsibility for the things that have happened since. But that doesn't sit comfortably with me when I see that it hurts you, and impacts upon you and your family in a really real way, when I think all you've ever really tried to do is be yourself. You've tried to kind of understand people. You've tried to kind of, I guess, penetrate this community in a way that helps you to make sense of what it is that you see out here. And the same, I guess, is kind of true of me in a way, not in the same way. I don't kind of go in with everything kind of on the table. That's a form of cowardice on one hand. I don't want to be held to account for the things that I say out here, and the things that I do, and I can recognize where that would have an impact on my real life. And you've obviously discovered this for yourself as well, and I deeply, deeply regret that anything that I may have done may have led to the kind of bullshit that you're experiencing now. And so that's kind of why I wanted to take this particular leap, I guess, and kind of just show you that there is, a real person behind the mask, and that I actually would rather kind of just take a chance, and demonstrate to you that, I'm committed to a friendship, or just writing letters to each other, or whatever it may be. You know, I go where kind of inspiration takes me, and I find you inspirational. You know, you give me the kind of desire to write, which is really important to me. You've developed kind of a sense within me that, you know, I have some ability in that regard, which, you know, I kind of flip-flop back and forth with. And, you know, I find you entertaining and funny and intelligent and, you know, just generally really kind of insightful on the kind of things that force me to kind of think twice about what I'm doing. And I love that. You know, that's what life's all about, when you get somebody that kind of forces you to look in the mirror and ask yourself questions about who you are and what you do and how you do it. And anything that I've kind of created and anything that I've written and any video that I've made, it was never intended to kind of hurt you. It may have been intended to kind of make you think, or, you know, even bring about some kind of emotional reaction. And if it's done that, then I guess as art, if you want to call it that, it's kind of served its core purpose. But at the same time, you know, I'm also aware of how it could look. You know, anybody kind of looking in from the outside would find the kind of discourse that we've had pretty difficult to understand, I'd imagine. You know, I wouldn't ever kind of want to try explaining it to anybody, because how the fuck do you explain that? There's no way to kind of explain to people that you know, met this girl online and you, you know, you had these kind of back and forth conversations and you started making sock accounts to kind of mess with each other, and then, you know, you caught each other out and you know, play these games to kind of mess with each other's heads. I mean, what I guess overall the most important thing for me is that, you know, that when it goes past the point when it's entertaining, when it starts to get dark and people start posting pictures of each other's kids and posting, you know, vile kind of abrasive shit that I would just never say in a million years, that's not entertaining anymore. You know, all you're doing is kind of bringing this sort of visceral reaction out in people that is only there to cause harm. And for everything that I've kind of done has only ever been for the sake of kind of creating something that I found interesting or engaging, or, you know, at the very least kind of serve to maybe make people stop and think a little bit about what they were doing, you know. I'm not going to kind of get into the realms of trying to justify it, because it's really not justifiable. It is what it is. It's happened, you know. I have to kind of bear that weight upon my own soul and my own conscience. But, you know, over time I've kind of come to see that as being quite separate to the kind of things that we've discussed and the kind of, you know, conversations that we've had. I like people that can ignite the kind of the flames of passion, and I find that all too infrequently in the real world. You know, you kind of go through the day-to-day drudgery, and, you know, I have really amazing friends and a really amazing kind of family, and I love the kind of the elements of the world that make me happy, but as intelligent as you are, you know full well that, you know, sometimes there's that kind of yearning for something more and something deeper than that transcends the material and goes beyond that into something that you can't quite explain or understand or even really kind of make sense of. And I guess this is what this represents to me, you know, nothing more, nothing less, just an interesting conversation with an interesting person that's inspired me to kind of create and write and draw and all the other stuff that kind of comes and goes normally. You know, every so often there's just something, some trigger, some kind of something in life that inspires that in me, and when I find that, I never want to lose it, you know. That said, I don't ever want to do anything that kind of becomes uncomfortable for you. So if you are committed to kind of moving forward and exchanging ideas, and we can speak about anything you like, you know, I'm open to kind of hearing all about your life, about your family, about the things that you love, about your hopes and dreams for the future. You know, I'd like to know more about you. I'd like to have some kind of, you know, genuine friendship with you, because I think that you're worth investing the time in. And I have a lot of admiration and respect for you. And so I guess this, more than anything, and hopefully you knowing how you know, precious I am about my about my identity, and not revealing myself. Hopefully, this will give you some kind of reassurance that, you know, I want this to continue in whatever way possible. And if it ends tomorrow, then I'll always enjoy the conversations that we had and the time we spent together. And, you know, that's your call, I guess, to kind of get out when you feel ready to do so. And in the meantime, there's so much that I'd love to speak to you about. There's so much that I'd love to ask you and know and, you know, exchange. And if you're up for that, and if, you know, you can kind of get past the fact that we kind of met under very, very, very peculiar circumstances indeed, then, you know, who knows, maybe there's some kind of chance that, you know, we could get on, and we could enjoy each other's company going forward. But that's your call, Tiffany, and I hope that this has given you some kind of